There are moments in life when the world seems to pause, when ordinary people stumble upon something extraordinary, and everything changes in the space of a heartbeat. On a cold autumn morning, as the sun was just beginning to lift itself over the horizon, a roar of motorcycle engines echoed across the empty highway like thunder rolling through mountains. The bikers, wrapped in leather jackets and grit, looked fierce and rugged to anyone watching, but inside every one of them lived a storm of untold stories. They were heading toward the small diner on the edge of Lincoln Ridge, a diner known only to travelers and truckers, where hope was often served quietly between cups of coffee. None of them knew that today their path would cross with a young man whose silent suffering would shake something deep inside them. Something they had forgotten. They still had the ability to change someone's life. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing emotional true life stories like this. When the bikers stopped outside the old Lincoln Ridge diner, the cold air carried the scent of burning tires, dust, and distant pine trees. The leader, a gray-bearded man everyone called Hawk, pushed open the diner door. The bell above the entrance gave a tired jingle, announcing their arrival. Every head turned. Some stared with fear, some with curiosity. The bikers looked intimidating, broad shoulders, tattoos, worn leather, the kind of people most would avoid. But the only thing that caught their attention that morning wasn't the murmuring customers or the flickering neon lights. It was the young black waiter walking across the floor with a limp so heavy it looked painful to watch. His steps were uneven, each movement slow and deliberate, as though he were trying to hide his struggle but failing miserably. His name was Aaron. His tired eyes carried the weight of years more than the 23 he had lived. His uniform was faded, his hands trembling as he took orders, and his smile, though gentle, was cracked at the edges, like it had been pieced together too many times. What the bikers didn't know yet was that this limp wasn't just a limp. It was the mark of a life scarred by cruelty, a reminder of a night he never wanted to relive. As the bikers settled into their seats, Aaron approached them with quiet politeness. His limp was impossible to ignore, and every step seemed to bruise the floor beneath him. Hawk watched him closely, noticing the way Aaron tried to mask the pain, the way he tightened his jaw every time his left foot touched the ground. There was something fragile in the young man's movement, something that didn't belong in a world so harsh. Hawk had seen injuries, had survived battles. He knew when someone's body carried a story it didn't want to tell. But Aaron did not expect kindness from the world anymore. Life had taught him that mercy rarely came. He had grown up in a rough neighborhood, in a home filled with broken promises and louder screams than laughter. His mother worked double shifts and still struggled to put food on the table. His father had left when he was 6, leaving a silence that grew louder every year. But the limp that came later, from a night much darker than anything he had lived before. 2 years earlier, Aaron had been attacked by a group of men who felt his existence was inconvenient. Men who believed he didn't deserve the same air they breathed. They beat him until the world blurred into darkness. His leg was shattered, his jaw bruised, his hope crushed. The doctors saved his life, but they couldn't save his dreams. He had once wanted to be a runner, to feel the wind slicing past him as he sped toward a future full of possibility. But after the attack, even walking without pain became impossible. So he worked at the diner, surviving each day rather than living it. He woke up before dawn, dragged himself to work, and spent every hour trying not to crumble under the weight of bills, medical debt, and memories that tightened around his chest like chains. Still, he wore a smile, not because life was good, but because he refused to let the world see how close he was to giving up. As Aaron placed the orders on the biker's table, Hawk leaned back, observing something others didn't: the exhaustion in Aaron's eyes, the haunted look he tried to bury, the trembling in his injured leg. There was a moment, a silent one, where Hawk felt something crack inside him. Maybe it was empathy. Maybe it was guilt from the things he had done in his own past. Maybe it was just humanity reawakening. The meal continued quietly, but the bikers were unusually thoughtful, their laughter replaced with glances toward Aaron. When it was time to pay, Hawk stood up and walked over to the counter where Aaron was counting coins for a customer's bill. Hawk's shadow fell across the counter as he placed something down. It wasn't just money, it was a stack of bills far larger than the cost of their meal. Aaron looked up, confused, his lips parting slightly but no words coming out. Hawk simply nodded, but inside Aaron's chest something tightened, something warm and terrifying. He had never seen that much money in one place. For a moment, he thought it must be a mistake. But then he saw the sincerity in Hawk's eyes, an expression that told him this wasn't charity, it was recognition, respect, and something much deeper. But Hawk wasn't finished. As Aaron stepped outside later to take out the trash, he saw the bikers gathered near their motorcycles. He thought they were leaving. Instead, Hawk motioned him over. The breeze brushed against Aaron's face as he approached, unsure and nervous. The bikers formed a circle, not intimidating, protective, like a shield around him. Hawk told him they had noticed his limp, noticed the pain he carried, but more importantly, they saw his strength, his determination to keep going. For the first time in years, Aaron felt seen not as a server, not as a limping young man, but as a human being with value. Then, Hawk told him something that made Aaron's breath stop. They had a club fund money bikers contributed to for helping people on the road or those who needed a second chance. Hawk explained they wanted to use that fund for him. Not because they pitied him, but because they believed in him. They wanted to pay for his surgery, the one doctor said could help him walk normally again, the one he had lost hope of ever affording. Aaron stood frozen as the cold wind met the heat rising in his chest. His throat tightened, tears blurred the world. He tried to speak, but no words would form. For 2 years he had carried this limp like a curse, a reminder of everything that had been taken from him. And now these strangers, these tough, intimidating bikers, were offering him something he had buried deep inside himself, a future. As Aaron broke down, falling into tears he had held back for years, Hawk placed a steady hand on his shoulder. It was the kind of gesture that didn't fix everything, but it told him he was no longer alone, and sometimes that was the first step toward healing. What followed over the next months was nothing short of a miracle. The bikers stayed by his side, visiting him during surgery, checking on him during recovery, bringing him meals, driving him to therapy sessions, and reminding him he mattered. Aaron's limp slowly eased. His steps became stronger, his pain lessened, but the real transformation wasn't in his leg, it was in his spirit. He began to believe again, to hope again, to imagine a life where he wasn't defined by what happened to him, but by the strength he had to rise above it. And when the day finally came that he walked into the diner without limping, without pain, the entire place erupted in applause. Even the customers who never spoke much felt tears building. Aaron looked at the bikers sitting at their usual corner table, and in that moment, he realized that family isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes, family arrives in roaring engines, leather jackets, and unexpected kindness. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling meaningful stories that inspire the world. Before we end this story, please drop a comment below telling us whether you believe kindness from strangers can change someone's life. Aaron's life changed because a group of hardened bikers looked past appearances, past assumptions, and saw a young man fighting silently. In a world where cruelty often speaks louder than kindness, moments like this remind us that goodness still exists often in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, all it takes is one small act of compassion to rewrite someone's entire future.